Chapter 43:16. The gates of the immortal abode were tightly shut, and there were countless black sword centipedes attacking them. What should they do? Should they retreat? Many people were unwilling to do so. They had just entered, and now they had to retreat. They had gained nothing, and they had not even entered the gates of the immortal abode. However, if they did not retreat, they would be killed by the black sword centipedes. What should they do? Ah! At that moment there were screams. Someone had died at the hands of the black sword centipedes. Moreover, after being killed by the black sword centipedes would crawl into the bodies of the victims and gnaw on their flesh and blood essence. It was truly tragic. Damn it! Retreat, retreat! Let's go! More than a dozen people finally broke down and rushed outside with a roar. Just as the muscular man from the World Turtle Clan said, there were no obstacles when they retreated. They easily left the range of the formation and returned outside. Outside the formation, they could also see what was happening inside. At that moment, many people outside the formation were pale and broke out in cold sweat. They were secretly glad that they did not go in just now. In particular, those with weaker combat strength were even more afraid. If they had gone in just now, they might have been the ones dying at the hands of the black sword centipedes. Sure enough, opportunities were not so easy to obtain, especially in this kind of immortal abode. It was full of danger. Click! At that moment, the gates of the immortal abode made a clicking sound and opened. Yes, the gates of the immortal abode opened automatically. Lu Ming and the others were slightly stunned, then looked pleasantly surprised. The gates of the immortal abode are open. Haha, I'm so lucky. I wanted to retreat just now. Me too. Fortunately, I held on for a while longer. Charge! Instantly, figures sent the black sword centipedes flying and then rushed toward the gates of the immortal abode. Lu Ming and Yi Ling did the same. They attacked continuously, sending the black sword centipedes around them flying, then rushed toward the gates of the immortal abode. The few people at the front had already rushed through the gates. Once they rushed through the gates, the black sword centipedes stopped and did not continue to pursue. Instead, they turned around and attacked the others. Outside the formation, the dozen people who had just retreated were dumbfounded. Then, their faces turned red and they almost vomited blood. What was going on? They had just retreated when the gates of the immortal abode opened. Regret, they were extremely regretful. If they could hold on a little longer, they would be able to rush into the immortal mansion. Once they entered the immortal mansion, they might be able to obtain a great opportunity. Their cultivation would advance by leaps and bounds and change their destiny. As long as they thought that a great opportunity might have just slipped away from their hands, they were so angry that their hearts, livers, lungs, and kidneys hurt. Lu Ming and Yi Ling were very fast. In less than 2 breaths, they had also rushed through the door. As soon as they rushed through the gate, the black sword centipedes stopped chasing them. Behind the door was a large hall. In front of the hall, there were 9 large doors. Behind the doors was a pitch-black passageway. At this moment, no one made a move because they didn't know which door to take. They also didn't know which door was safe and which door was dangerous. They were all waiting for others to test it out. Swish! Swish! Behind him, more and more people rushed in. The others had already entered. Die, brat! As soon as Shueji rushed into the hall, he stared at Lu Ming. He had a pair of blood-red bat wings on his back. With a flap of his wings, he charged at Lu Ming like a flash of lightning. This time, he didn't condense a blood sword to attack. Instead, he used his sharp claws to grab Lu Ming. His claws were extremely sharp and surrounded by a blood-red light. When he waved his hand, it was filled with a thick smell of blood. Humph! Lu Ming humphed coldly. He wasn't afraid at all. He raised his fist to meet the attack. The 2 figures collided. Their fists and claws collided. In an instant, they had exchanged dozens of blows, but there was no clear winner. Shueji's cultivation was at the peak of the 5th Emperor Supreme God layer. His battle strength had reached 7 stars. He was stronger than Gabbert. However, Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the fourth Emperor Supreme God layer. If he used his full strength, his battle strength would completely crush Xue Ji. However, Lu Ming didn't use his full strength. He only used his battle strength of 10 stars to fight Xue Ji to a draw. The bird that sticks out gets shot. If he showed too much strength now, he would definitely attract other people's attention. If there were any treasures later on, it would be difficult to compete for them. Therefore, Lu Ming kept a low profile. He only managed to fight Xue Ji to a draw. In Lu Ming's eyes, he was already keeping a low profile. However, in the eyes of the others, it was simply astonishing. What a terrifying battle strength! Who is that young man? He's only at the fourth Emperor Supreme God layer. How can he fight Xue Ji to a draw? Xue Ji has the battle strength of 7 stars. He's always been able to defeat people who are at a higher level than him. Now, someone with a lower cultivation level is fighting Xue Ji to a draw. How terrifying! He has the battle strength of 10 stars. Many people gasped and looked at Lu Ming in astonishment. In the Great Supreme God layer, there was no limit to the 9th level of the Godly Emperor layer. Moreover, with the Great Supreme God layer as the foundation, it was easier to comprehend original divine power and original secret techniques. However, in the Great Supreme God layer, there were very few people who had the battle strength of 10 stars. It was extremely rare. Who was that young man? Especially the peerless geniuses on the Universe Genius list. Their eyes were even more solemn. A battle strength of 10 stars was too terrifying. It would be a great enemy for them. In the Taishang Immortal City, the battle strength of the stars was the foundation. Cultivation level was secondary. This was because in the Taishang Immortal City, as long as one had the Desolation Pill, one's cultivation level would increase by leaps and bounds. If one's cultivation level was temporarily weak, as long as one had enough Desolation Pills, they would quickly catch up. Given Lu Ming's battle strength, once his cultivation level caught up, it would be extremely terrifying. Many people's eyes flashed as they looked at Lu Ming with murderous intent. Bang, bang, bang. Lu Ming and Xue Ji had already exchanged more than 100 blows, but there was no clear winner. With a violent explosion, the two of them retreated at the same time and stood facing each other. Damn it! Xue Ji roared in his heart as he looked at Lu Ming coldly. However, deep in his cold eyes there was a strong sense of shock. Lu Ming's battle strength was really beyond his expectations. Just now, he had already pushed his battle strength to the extreme, but he still couldn't take down Lu Ming. He was dealing with someone who was one level lower than him, and he still couldn't take him down. This was the first time he had encountered such a situation in his life. This was the second time. Who are you? Xue Ji shouted coldly. He didn't believe that Lu Ming was a nobody. He was most likely some peerless genius in disguise. A few of the most terrifying geniuses quickly appeared in his mind, but they didn't match Lu Ming. Their cultivation level didn't match. The most terrifying geniuses he knew had cultivation levels higher than the 4th level of the Emperor's Supreme God realm. Lu Ming sneered and didn't reply. The others' gazes finally moved away from Lu Ming. Because at this moment, there were already people rushing towards the 9 doors. Some people couldn't hold back anymore. Whoosh! 2 figures walked together and rushed into a large door without causing any abnormalities. Chapter 43:17. It's fine! Many people's eyes flickered. The 2 of them rushed into a door without causing any abnormalities. Were they lucky enough to rush into a safe door, or were all 9 doors safe? Many thoughts popped up in everyone's minds. Swoosh! Swoosh! Someone rushed towards the safe door, entered it, and disappeared. Let's go there too! A heavenly human paragon said coldly as he led a group of heavenly human tribesmen and rushed towards the door. They were not sure about the other 8 doors, but at least this door was safe. Naturally, they would choose this door. This made the others' hearts sink and their expressions turn ugly. Some people wanted to rush into this door but stopped at this moment. If they walked through the same door as the heavenly human tribesmen, even if there were treasures, they would definitely not get a share. Not to mention treasures, they might even be used as a shield when they encountered danger. No one wanted to walk with the heavenly human tribesmen. Let's try the other doors. Finally, someone walked towards the other doors, ready to test it out. Unexpectedly, after they walked through the door, they did not encounter any danger or abnormalities. It's fine. Could it be that these 9 doors are not dangerous, and we're overthinking? It's possible that these are just 9 ordinary doors. Many people discussed secretly. Many people became bolder after seeing that 2 doors were fine. Immediately, someone walked towards another door that no one had walked through before. It was still fine and there were no abnormalities. It seemed to be just an ordinary door. This time, even more people became bolder. Let's go! Let's go too! People continued to move towards the other doors. Almost every door had people walking through it, but in the end, nothing happened. Lu Ming and Yi Ling looked at each other, and then nodded. Their figures flashed, and they rushed towards the door on the far left. The 2 of them rushed through that door. Shuiji looked at Lu Ming's figure as he left. His eyes flickered a few times, but in the end, he did not choose the same path as Lu Ming. Instead, he walked towards another door. Behind the door was a dark and deep passageway. Some people were running in the tunnel. At first, they were not very fast as they were on guard against their surroundings. However, they did not encounter any abnormalities. Gradually, they became bolder and ran faster and faster. After running for a few hundred miles, a light appeared in front of them. The passageway came to an end. That is... Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He discovered that there was a huge platform at the end of the passage. On the platform, there were lines that intertwined to form a huge 8 trigrams diagram. On top of these 8 trigrams, there were some pill furnaces. There were a total of 12 pill furnaces. 1 big and 11 small. The big ones were about 3 meters in diameter, while the small ones were about 1 meter in diameter. Many people's eyes lit up. Unexpectedly, not long after entering the immortal abode, he saw 12 pill furnaces. This was comparable to a purple pill field. Swish! Swish! There were more than a dozen people in the tunnel, all of whom were bursting with power as they charged toward the platform and the 12 pill furnaces. Lu Ming and Yi Ling moved as well. The 2 of them headed straight for the alchemy furnace that was about 3 meters in diameter. 1 alchemy furnace with a diameter of 3 meters was comparable to 10 alchemy furnaces with a diameter of 1 meter. Therefore, Lu Ming and Yi Ling were not the only ones who had their eyes on the big furnace. There were a few others as well. Get lost! One of them was a big man with a bald head. He was surrounded by Buddhist light and looked like a golden arhat. He was very aggressive. He waved his hand and a few golden palms flew toward Lu Ming and the others. He was a pure Buddhist with a cultivation of the 6th great supreme God layer. He was very strong. The golden palm pressed out. It was extremely terrifying. Even Lu Ming felt a little pressured. Boom! Lu Ming threw a punch and collided with the golden palms. He blocked the golden palms. Yi Ling also struck out with his palm, blocking the golden palm print as well. However, there were 2 other people who also dashed toward the 3-meter furnace. Those 2 people were not as strong as Lu Ming and Yi Ling. The 2 of them shouted and tried their best to block the attack. However, when the golden palms pressed down on them, their attacks were destroyed. The palms pressed on their bodies and they shrieked in agony. Their bones were broken and they coughed up blood. They were blown away and on the verge of death. 4 stars fighting strength. The big man from the Buddhist clan had 4 stars fighting strength. He had the cultivation of the 6th great supreme God layer. His fighting strength was not weaker than Shuiji's. Little boy, if you want to compete with me, you won't be able to get the alchemy furnace from me, said the big man from the Buddhist clan with a cold smile. Although that was what he said, he looked at Lu Ming and Yi Ling with a grave expression. A moment ago, Lu Ming and Yi Ling had easily blocked his attack, so he was not confident. Is that so? Let's see how strong you are. Lu Ming smiled and dashed toward the alchemy furnace. The big man from the Buddhist clan also dashed toward the alchemy furnace. Whoosh whoosh, at that moment, a strong wind blew in the sky above them. There was a strong sound of something breaking through the air. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. Without thinking, he threw a punch upward. A blade light slashed down at Lu Ming and collided with Lu Ming's fist. There was a loud roar, and the saber gleam was blocked. Lu Ming saw a tall figure retreating backward. However, after the figure retreated, there were other figures who continued to charge at Lu Ming. There were a few of them. Their blade lights were cold, and they aimed at Lu Ming's head. Lu Ming's body flashed, and he quickly retreated, avoiding the blade lights. Are they puppets? At that moment, Lu Ming finally saw the faces of these figures. The ones who attacked them were in human form. They were more than 2 meters tall, and they held battle blades. However, they were not made of flesh and blood. They seemed to be made of metal, but they were not from the Metal Clan. Their eyes were cold and merciless. Lu Ming could tell that this should be a type of puppet. At that moment, there were at least 100 puppets on the platform. They looked exactly the same. Each of them was burly and powerful. Some of them had already been killed. Whoosh! Whoosh! These puppets moved freely. With a slash of their blade lights, a third-layer Emperor God expert was cut in half and died on the spot. In the blink of an eye, only Lu Ming, Yi Ling, and the big man from the Buddhist clan were left on the platform. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, more than 100 puppets charged at Lu Ming and the other two. More than 100 blade lights enveloped them. Each blade light was very powerful. Die! Shouted the big man from the Buddhist clan. His body emitted a dazzling light. A huge Buddha appeared behind him. This huge Buddha had hundreds of arms. The hundreds of arms attacked the puppets. Chapter 43:18. Hundreds of golden palm prints collided with the swords of dozens of puppets, causing a violent explosion. However, these puppets were too strong. When the sword slashed down, the golden palm prints shook violently, and then collapsed. The swords continued to slash towards the burly man from the Buddha tribe. The burly man from the Buddha tribe was shocked. He retreated quickly and kept flashing, trying to avoid the swords. However, he was one step too slow and could not avoid them completely. He was hit by a few of the swords, which broke through his protective Buddhist light and left several wounds on his body. At the same time, Lu Ming and Yi Ling were also fighting with these puppets. Yi Ling finally displayed his powerful strength. His body turned into a phantom and moved among the puppets. As he moved, he continuously slapped out with his palms. Every time he slapped out, a puppet would be sent flying. In an instant, dozens of puppets were sent flying. Lu Ming had also unleashed his full strength, activating the battle incantation to increase his combat strength by 7 times. He was just short of using the sky-splitting form. He continuously threw out dozens of punches and clashed with the dozens of puppets. After a series of booming sounds, Lu Ming felt waves of extremely violent energy surging toward him. His body could not help but retreat violently. Of course, during this period, he also hit the puppets with his fist and sent them flying. However, they were only sent flying. These puppets were completely fine. Use the weapon of the Taishang Immortal City! Yi Ling reminded from the side. A battle sword appeared in his hand. It was the weapon that he had obtained from the Taishang Immortal City. Swoosh swoosh swoosh, the battle sword turned into streaks of swords and slashed at the puppets. Sure enough, the puppets were directly cleaved apart, chopped into 2 halves. The weapon of the Taishang Immortal City could indeed break these puppets. A battle sword appeared in Lu Ming's hand. Swoosh! Lu Ming became one with his sword and slashed at the head of a puppet. Sizzle sizzle, the battle sword slashed at the puppet, and a piercing sound was heard. In the end, the puppet's head was split open and the puppet collapsed to the ground. However, there was no joy on Lu Ming's face. Splitting the puppet apart was much more difficult than he had imagined. Earlier, he had already encountered a huge obstacle, and it was extremely strenuous. Yi Ling looked relaxed. This could only mean that he was too strong. Whoosh! Whoosh! After splitting apart a puppet, Lu Ming continued to attack, his battle blades slashing out continuously. A few more puppets were hacked apart by Lu Ming and scattered on the ground. Although it took a lot of effort, it still couldn't block Lu Ming's attack. However, that burly man from the Buddha race would not have it that easy. He also took out a weapon from the Supreme Immortal City. It was an axe. In the beginning, he was still able to kill a few puppets in a row, but gradually, his palms became numb, and his arms trembled slightly. The recoil from slashing these puppets was too strong. At the same time, it consumed too much energy. However, there were over 100 puppets on the platform, and there were still more puppets charging at them. The burly man from the Buddha race roared and fought back with all his might. Soon, another 5 or 6 puppets were killed by him. In total, more than 10 puppets had died at his hands. However, at this moment, his strength was almost depleted. His arms were sore and blood was seeping out from between his thumb and forefinger. He could barely hold on to the axe. Clang! He clashed with another puppet. This time, his arms trembled violently, and he could no longer hold on to the axe. The axe flew out of his hands. At the same time, at least 10 puppets charged at the burly man from the Buddha race. No help! The burly man from the Buddha race revealed a look of despair as he shouted for help. However, would Lu Ming and Yi Ling save him? Although Lu Ming had no ill feelings towards the Buddha race was on the side of the Heavenly Palace. He didn't have a good impression of them. Furthermore, they were competitors now. Why would Lu Ming save his enemy? More than 10 puppets charged at the burly man from the Buddha race. The burly man from the Buddha race barely managed to block a few blows. However, he was no match for them and was killed mercilessly. After killing the burly man from the Buddha race, the puppets continued to charge at Lu Ming. Kill! Kill! Lu Ming shouted as he slashed out with his battle saber. He had a forbidden body. Every cell of his contained power. His power was as vast as the sea and wouldn't be depleted so easily. Soon, more than 30 puppets were killed by Lu Ming. They turned into lifeless metal pieces and scattered on the ground. As for the other puppets, they had all been killed by Yi Ling. It had to be said that Yi Ling's combat strength was unfathomable. Impressive! Lu Ming exclaimed in admiration. You're even stronger. If we fight at the same level, I'll definitely be killed by you, Yi Ling said. Then, the two of them started to move. In a flash, they kept all the elixir furnaces. Finally, the two of them walked towards the largest elixir furnace. It didn't matter who took it. It was the same. They were in a cooperative relationship. The treasures they obtained would be divided equally. However, just as the two of them approached the elixir furnace, a strong wind blew from above. 2 sharp forces charged at Lu Ming and Yi Ling fast. It was too fast. It was so fast that Lu Ming couldn't dodge in time. Lu Ming could only raise his battle saber and block. Clang! There was a loud explosion. Lu Ming felt an extremely powerful force rush towards him along his battle saber. Lu Ming's body couldn't help but retreat. He felt the blood in his body churn. On the other side, Yi Ling's reaction was extremely fast. He avoided the attack and retreated to Lu Ming's side. Another puppet! Lu Ming's eyes flickered. This time, it was another puppet that attacked them. However, there was only one of them. The appearance of this puppet was slightly different from the previous ones. This puppet had even more elegant lines, and its appearance resembled that of a human. It also appeared to be of a higher level. In between his eyebrows, there was a red dot that looked like a ruby embedded in it. It was also holding a battle saber in its hand. Die! The puppet bellowed and bent its body slightly. Then, it suddenly leaped and charged toward Lu Ming and Yi Ling. The saber gleams slashed toward Lu Ming and Yi Ling at an alarming speed. Leave it to me, said Yi Ling. Before he could finish his sentence, he had already rushed over. As he rushed out, his body emitted a powerful aura. Whoosh! The battle saber in his hand turned into a dazzling sword light and pierced towards the puppet. Its speed was even faster than the saber light of the puppet. So strong! Is this Yi Ling's real fighting strength? Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. Yiling's sword was extremely terrifying. If it pierced towards him, Lu Ming felt that he wouldn't be able to block it. Yiling's cultivation was at the 6th layer of the great supreme god realm. However, his fighting strength was definitely at the 8th star or even higher. As for how high his fighting strength was, Lu Ming didn't know. He didn't know if Yiling was using his full strength. Such fighting strength was absolutely terrifying. No wonder he was one of the strongest geniuses on the Heaven Destroyer's side. With a clang, the sword pierced the puppet's chest. Chapter 43:19. Yiling's terrifying sword pierced the puppet's chest, emitting a ding sound. Surprisingly, the tip of the sword did not pierce through the puppet's chest. Yiling's longsword was bent into an arc, and then the puppet was sent flying. The puppet flew a few hundred meters before coming to a stop. However, there was no wound on its chest. There was only a white spot. How is it so hard? Lu Ming's eyes widened in shock. Yiling's sword was extremely powerful. Coupled with the sharpness of the Taishang Immortal City's weapon, Lu Ming would have been pierced through even if he had used all his means. However, it had no effect on the puppet's body. That was too shocking. Kill! The puppet roared and charged toward Yiling again. Its battle sword pierced through the air and slashed out a few hundred times. Layers of sword shadows enveloped Yiling at an astonishing speed. It seemed unavoidable. However, Yiling had no intention of dodging. The long sword in his hand trembled, and the air was filled with sword sparks. It collided with the sword shadows. Clang, 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 the sound of collisions rang out. After a few hundred collisions, the sword shadows were all blocked and disappeared without a trace. Following that, Yiling's body flashed and hundreds of shadows appeared. They surrounded the puppet and launched an attack. Streaks of sword light shot toward the puppet. They either stabbed or slashed. Clang, 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 sparks flew from the puppet's body. In an instant, at least a few hundred streaks of sword light landed on the puppet's body. However, it was useless. It was useless. There was no wound on the puppet's body. It could not be broken at all. On the contrary, Yiling was careless and was almost hit by the puppet's sword. In terms of combat strength, Yiling's combat strength was completely above the puppet. However, the puppet's defense was too strong. Yiling could not break it at all. As such, no matter how strong Yiling's combat strength was, he could not do anything to the puppet. Attack the spot between its eyebrows. When you attacked just now, it was defending between its eyebrows, Lu Ming roared. He suspected that the puppet's forehead was its weakness. Yiling's eyes lit up. In a flash, he charged towards the puppet and thrust his sword at the puppet's glabella. Whoosh! This time, the puppet did not counterattack. Instead, it retreated rapidly and raised its sword to its forehead. With a clang, Yiling's sword was blocked. The puppet borrowed this force to retreat rapidly. Swoosh! With a flick of his wrist, Yiling unleashed his sword aura. Dozens of sword beams shot towards the puppet's forehead from different directions. However, the puppet did not care about anything else. It only cared about the area between its eyebrows. The battle saber was there, and Yiling could not break through its defense. Dozens of moves had been blocked by Zhang Xian. With that, they were even more certain that the puppet's forehead was its weak point. You use all your strength to deflect his saber. I'll attack. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Yiling. All right. Yiling nodded and gripped his sword with both hands. A vast amount of divine power surged into the sword as he swung it with all his might. It was a simple swing without any fancy moves, but its power was astonishing. Clang! The swing of the sword landed on the puppet's battle saber, causing a loud boom. The puppet's body was sent flying backward. At the same time, its battle saber was also deflected by the powerful force and moved away from its forehead. Now was the time. Lu Ming did not hesitate to use the Grand Aurora technique. In a flash, he appeared in front of the puppet. The battle saber in his hand was aimed at the puppet's forehead. Lu Ming's speed was too fast. In an instant, he appeared in front of the puppet. The puppet's battle saber had just been deflected by Yiling. This time, it could no longer use its saber to block the attack. With a pop, Lu Ming pierced through the puppet's forehead as if he had pierced a bubble. In the next moment, a powerful aura erupted from the puppet's body. Lu Ming was shocked. Could he have guessed wrongly and the puppet's forehead was not its weak point? Without hesitation, Lu Ming quickly retreated to Yi Ling's side and watched cautiously. At this moment, the puppet was stiff and motionless. However, the aura on its body was extremely violent. At the same time, runes appeared on its body and emitted a dazzling glow. Then, a shocking scene appeared. The puppet's body began to twist and transform. Finally, it turned into a strange object. This object looked like an arc, like the corner of a ship. Could this be a part of the crossing adversity airship? Lu Ming was dumbfounded. Yi Ling was also stunned. After a while, he said, "This should be a part of the crossing adversity airship. I didn't expect the parts of the crossing adversity airship to exist in such a form. It can turn into a puppet." Yi Ling was a peerless genius of the Heaven Destroyer. Like Lu Ming, he had also read some information about the Taishang Immortal City. In the information that they had read, it was mentioned that the parts of the crossing adversity airship would exist in various forms. The forms would be different in different immortal abodes. However, it was not mentioned that the parts of the crossing adversity airship would turn into puppets and possess powerful offensive power. So it's a part of the crossing adversity airship. No wonder it's so hard. It seems that only the puppet with the red dot on its forehead is a part of the crossing adversity airship. The others are not, Lu Ming said. Forget it. Let's keep it first and continue to look for other parts of the crossing adversity airship, Yi Ling said. Lu Ming nodded and flew up. With a wave of his hand, he kept the part of the crossing adversity airship. After keeping it, Lu Ming raised his head and looked up. Above this platform, there was another platform that was suspended in midair. Earlier on, those puppets had come down from this platform. In fact, this was not the only platform that was suspended in midair. Looking further away, there were other platforms that were suspended in midair. This void was very vast, and there were platforms suspended in midair everywhere. These platforms were circular, and each platform had a diameter of about 100 miles. "Let's go!" Lu Ming shouted softly and shot up into the sky with Yi Ling, rushing toward the platform above. Soon, the two of them successfully landed on the platform above. This platform was already empty. There was not a single puppet on it. Above this platform, there was another platform. The two of them continued to rush toward the platform above. The geographical position here was already very high, and they could overlook other places. Standing there were platforms everywhere. At a glance, there were no less than 100 platforms. On these platforms, there were flickering figures everywhere. They were all puppets. Boom! 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 There were booming sounds everywhere. There were battles everywhere. Shuiji! Lu Ming's eyes moved and saw the peerless genius on the universe prodigy list, Shuiji. Chapter 43:20. At that moment, Shuiji was in an extremely sorry state. He had transformed into a blood-colored bat, and transformed into dozens of blood-colored bats. They flickered continuously in the air, dodging the attacks of the puppets. Shuiji's battle power was about the same as that of the Buddha clan man from before. He wasn't a match for these puppets at all. At that moment, he was surrounded by dozens of puppets and was in imminent danger. However, he was a peerless genius after all and had many life-saving means. Under the siege of dozens of puppets, he was only seriously injured but not killed. His figure madly rushed outside and escaped from the platform. Then, he rushed into a passage and disappeared. It wasn't just this platform. On many other platforms, there were corpses of people who had entered with him. Many people had died, and the remaining people were frantically rushing out of the platform. Obviously, most people weren't a match for these puppets. Those with weaker battle power were killed, while those with stronger battle power fled desperately. Of course, there were also those with astonishing strength. On a few platforms in the distance, Lu Ming saw a few figures wielding weapons from the Taishang Immortal City. Their figures were crisscrossing as they killed the puppets one by one. 2 of them were exceptional prodigies on the universe prodigy list. Their battle power was much stronger than Shuaiji's. Needless to say, their ranking was definitely far above Shuaiji's. The remaining ones were a few strong men. These strong men had extremely high cultivation levels. At the same time, their battle power was also very strong. Their overall battle power was above Shuaiji's. Obviously, the 9 doors from before all led to this place. There's a special puppet there. Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he looked at a platform on the left below. That platform was the platform where Shuaiji had been previously. There was a special puppet with a red dot between its eyebrows. It was very similar to the puppet formed by the components of the Crossing Adversity airship. It was very likely that this puppet was formed by the components of the Crossing Adversity airship. Previously, it was this puppet that had almost killed Shuaiji. The 2 of them didn't hesitate. Their figures flashed as they soared into the sky and rushed toward this platform. As the 2 of them approached, the special puppet's gaze seemed to be directed at Lu Ming and Shuaiji. Kill! This puppet seemed to have a mind of its own as it let out a low growl. Swish! Swish! The ordinary puppets immediately charged at Lu Ming and Luo Yunyang. Layers of blade light enveloped Lu Ming. Lu Ming and Yiling also rushed forward and engaged in a fierce battle with these puppets. They held the weapons of the Supreme Immortal City, which were incomparably sharp. It was not difficult to deal with these puppets. Yiling, in particular, seemed to be having an easy time. With a flash of his battle armor, a puppet was split in half. Lu Ming was a little more strenuous, but he was still able to bear it. The 2 of them joined forces and continued to charge forward toward the special puppet. Their target was this special puppet. As for the ordinary puppets, they were completely useless. They would kill as few of them as possible to save some energy. Soon, the 2 of them approached the special puppet. Kill! The special puppet let out a low roar and charged at Lu Ming and the other man with a saber in its hand. The 3 figures crossed each other like 3 bolts of lightning. Clang! Clang! Lu Ming and Yiling's attacks landed on the puppet's body. Clang! Clang! Sparks flew in all directions. The 2 of them took a look and saw that there was no trace left behind. It was the same as before. Their eyes lit up. This puppet was also extremely sturdy. It was the same as the parts of the Crossing Adversity airship. In that case, the possibility of this puppet being a part of the Crossing Adversity airship was very high. Cooperate as before! Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Yiling. Yiling nodded and unleashed a powerful aura. He waved his sword and slashed at the puppet's forehead. The puppet could only block with its saber. However, Yiling's strength was so great that the puppet's saber was immediately deflected. Lu Ming had already seized the opportunity to use the Great Aurora technique. His figure flashed, and he rushed to the front of the puppet. He stabbed his saber and pierced through the puppet's forehead. After that, Lu Ming retreated quickly. Just like before, a powerful aura erupted from the puppet's body. Runes appeared on its body, and its body began to change rapidly. It turned into a strange-looking object. Its shape was different from the previous one. However, it was obvious that it was also a part of the Crossing Adversity airship. This should be the keel, the previous one should be the stern, Yiling said. The Crossing Adversity airship was made up of 9 parts: the bow, the body, the stern, the deck, the keel, and the sails. Only when all 9 parts were gathered could a complete Crossing Adversity airship be formed. Only a complete Crossing Adversity airship could cross the Adversity Crossing Sea. It would not work even if it was missing a single part. Yiling's figure flashed, and he kept the Crossing Adversity airship part. The 2 of them looked at the other platforms. In fact, there were not many puppets that were transformed from the Crossing Adversity airship. Not every platform had them. The 2 of them looked around and only saw a few platforms with them. Of course, there were many platforms stacked on top of each other. The number of puppets that were transformed from the Crossing Adversity airship parts was definitely not small. Lu Ming did not fight with the ordinary puppets. He used his movement technique and avoided them. He rushed to the other platforms and focused on killing the special puppets. With the two of them working together, they were successful. Soon, they killed another 3 special puppets and successfully obtained 3 parts. In total, the two of them had obtained 5 parts of the crossing adversity airship. Unfortunately, one of the parts was duplicated. They had obtained 2 parts. However, they would keep them first. The parts of the crossing adversity airship were so difficult to obtain. They were definitely precious. Perhaps they could use them to exchange for some treasures. Lu Ming and Yi Ling searched the dozens of platforms around them. The two of them headed to the other platforms further away. In the distance, a few pairs of eyes glanced at Lu Ming and Yi Ling. They were the other experts. These people had seen Lu Ming and Yi Ling obtain a few parts of the crossing adversity airship with their own eyes. They were envious and moved. However, they were extremely wary. They were mainly wary of Yi Ling. Although Lu Ming was strong and they were confident that they could deal with him, Yi Ling's combat strength made them feel uncertain. In the end, no one dared to make a move. Lu Ming and Yi Ling arrived at the platform further away. As expected, they encountered the special puppets again. The two of them worked together and continued to hunt down the special puppets. After some time, they obtained a total of 12 parts of the crossing adversity airship. Unfortunately, only 7 of the 12 parts were different. 5 of them were duplicated. As a result, they could not even form a crossing adversity airship. Chapter 43:21. However, there were still many platforms here, and they did not search all of them. The two of them continued to rush towards the platforms further away. However, after a while, their eyes widened. The situation on the platforms ahead was somewhat beyond their expectations. There were also puppets on these platforms. However, these puppets had all been killed. Their metal bodies were scattered all over the place. At a glance, they were all broken metal puppets. None of them were intact. They had all been hacked apart by a sharp blade. Moreover, there was no trace of a special puppet. Who is so powerful to be able to kill all the puppets on the platforms? Lu Ming gasped a breath of cold air. It should be the heavenly human tribe. This time, although the heavenly human tribe did not send their top elites, their average strength is very strong. Those burly men from the heavenly human tribe are not weak. If they join forces, it won't be difficult to deal with these puppets, Yi Ling said. Lu Ming nodded. Indeed, if the heavenly human tribe had a few people with Yi Ling's combat strength, it would not be too difficult to deal with these puppets. The two of them circled around the platforms in this area but did not see a single intact puppet. Naturally, they did not see any special puppets either. It seems that all the puppets in this area have been killed. Let's go, Lu Ming said, feeling a little regretful. This time, they did not manage to gather a complete crossing adversity airship. It seems that we can only go out and try our luck. See if we can get other parts of the crossing adversity airship from other places. If not, we can only trade with others, Yi Ling said. Perhaps others would have more of the 2 parts that they lacked. Perhaps others would have less of the 5 extra parts that they had. In this way, they could trade. They could even take out the extra parts to trade with others for desolation pills. The two of them went back the way they came and returned to the passageway. Then, they retreated outside. This time, the two of them had gained a lot. Although they did not manage to gather all the parts of the crossing adversity airship, they had obtained many alchemy furnaces. Of course, not every platform here had alchemy furnaces. In fact, there were very few platforms with alchemy furnaces. Only one platform out of dozens had alchemy furnaces. However, there were many platforms here. Lu Ming and Yi Ling also gained a lot. He had a total of 6 pill furnaces with a diameter of 3 meters. There were more than 60 pill furnaces with a diameter of 1 meter. The two of them divided it equally, and each of them had more than 30 furnaces, which was more than what Lu Ming had previously accumulated. As long as he could gather the adversity-traversing airship, cross the adversity-traversing ocean, and enter the core area of the one-star palace, he would be able to use his pill furnace to madly refine desolate pills to improve his cultivation. The two of them walked back along the passage, but soon they stopped. Because there was someone blocking the way. It was Shueji. It's you! Very good! When Shueji saw Lu Ming and Yi Ling, he revealed a ferocious killing intent. Shueji, you've been hiding here. Have you recovered? Lu Ming smiled faintly. He was mocking Shueji for being forced to flee in a sorry state by the puppets. Sure enough, the malevolence in Shueji's eyes intensified as he growled. Brat, you're courting death. Hand over your storage rings now and I'll give you a quick death. With just you? Lu Ming sneered. What if we join in? At this moment, another voice rang out. Behind Shueji, 3 figures flashed and appeared. These people had previously used a concealment array to hide themselves and had only revealed themselves now. Lu Ming understood that these people had already cooperated with Shueji. They had specifically hidden here to rob people. Worryless! Lu Ming whispered. He knew one of the youths. He was also someone on the Universe Prodigy list. He was ranked 80 on the Universe Prodigy list and had extremely strong combat power. The other 2 were 2 burly men. Without a doubt, they were also people with strong combat power. Otherwise, they would not be qualified to cooperate with Worryless and Shueji. Now, are you qualified? Hand over your storage rings! Shueji shouted coldly, and the murderous intent in his eyes intensified. He looked like he was about to attack at any moment. Shueji, you're not qualified. Do you understand? Lu Ming shouted coldly and stepped forward. A powerful aura pressed down on Shueji. Kid, if you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Shueji roared. His body wriggled and transformed into a blood-red bat. His entire body was shrouded in blood-red light and emitted an unpleasant smell. He charged towards Lu Ming. Boom! Lu Ming made his move. He activated the battle formula and increased his combat power by 7 times. He threw out a punch. This time, Lu Ming did not show mercy. Other than not using the sky-splitting move, he activated 11 stars of combat power. The violent fist collided with Shueji, and there was a loud explosion. Then, there was a scream. Shueji's body retreated violently, and he spat out large mouthfuls of blood. One of his wings had completely exploded. With one move, Shueji was severely injured. His eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. He shouted, How is this possible? How is this possible? How can your combat power be so strong? On the side, Worryless and the 2 burly men were also shocked. Previously, Lu Ming and Shueji had fought fiercely. Their combat power was about the same. How could Lu Ming's combat power suddenly soar? Previously, I didn't want to reveal too much. Otherwise, with your strength, how could you have exchanged so many moves with me? How naive and ridiculous! Lu Ming sneered. His voice was filled with sarcasm. You! Shueji roared angrily and spat out another mouthful of blood. It turned out that Lu Ming did not use his full strength. To put it bluntly, he was just playing with him. Otherwise, he would have been dead. He thought that his combat power was not weaker than Lu Ming's. It turned out that he was a complete joke in front of Lu Ming. This blow was too great. He was a peerless genius on the Universe Prodigy list. He was usually high and mighty. When had he ever been humiliated like this? Kill! Let's join forces and kill this brat. Tear him into pieces! Shueji roared. Attack! Worryless and the 2 burly men shouted and unleashed a powerful aura. They pushed their combat power to the extreme and charged towards Lu Ming. The combat power of these people was really shocking. They were even slightly stronger than Shueji. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes and prepared to use the sky-splitting technique. At this moment, Yi Ling spoke. I'll do it! As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Ling's figure flashed and rushed past Lu Ming. The sound of a sword rang through the tunnel, and a sword light flashed. Puff! 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 Blood splattered everywhere. Shueji, Worryless, and the other 3's bodies suddenly stiffened. The 4's eyes were wide open. Their eyes were filled with fear, disbelief, unwillingness, despair, and other emotions. There was a sword wound in between their eyebrows. Blood flowed out continuously. Their life auras were quickly dissipating. Chapter 43:22. Instant kill. Xueji, Wu Yu, and the two burly men had joined forces but were instantly killed by Yiling's sword. The four men's foreheads had been pierced by the sword light. Their souls had been annihilated, and they were dead. With a plop, the four men's bodies fell to the ground. Two prodigies on the universe prodigy list had been killed just like that, falling on the spot. No one even knew that two peerless prodigies had died just like that. What powerful strength! Lu Ming was once again surprised by Yiling's strength. It was unfathomable. Even he would not be able to withstand such combat power. The Heaven Destroyer had been able to fight against the Heavenly Palace for many years. Its strength was definitely incomparable. As one of the strongest prodigies on the Heaven Destroyer's side, Yiling's talent should be comparable to some of the top prodigies in the Heavenly Palace. Even if he was not as good as them, he was definitely extraordinary. Thinking of this, Lu Ming was relieved. Moreover, his cultivation was 2 levels lower than Yiling's. If he was at the same level as Yiling, he was confident that his combat power was above Yiling's. The two of them took the storage rings of Xueji and the others, then left in a flash. They quickly returned to the divine abode and rushed outside. When they passed by the courtyard, they were besieged by the black sword centipedes again. However, with their combat power, these black sword centipedes could not do anything to them. They successfully broke through the courtyard and exited the divine abode. Outside the divine abode, there were still many people surrounding it. At this moment, all eyes were on Lu Ming and Yiling. Some people's eyes were filled with greed. They had entered the divine abode and exited it. Did they obtain the treasures inside? When they thought that Lu Ming and Yiling might have the treasures inside the divine abode, many people's hearts burned with desire. However, no one was stupid. Lu Ming and Yiling could safely exit the divine abode. Their combat power was definitely not ordinary. Moreover, some people had seen Lu Ming and Xueji exchange a few blows before entering the divine abode. There was no clear winner or loser. This level of combat power was not something they could deal with. Only death awaited them if they went against Lu Ming. However, not everyone dared to make a move. At that moment, a few figures flashed over and surrounded Lu Ming and Yiling. They were all in the prime of their lives, and their auras were vigorous and powerful. Although these people had not been able to enter the immortal abode previously, it did not mean that their combat strength was weak. Their combat strength was actually very strong. Otherwise, they would not have dared to charge at Lu Ming and Yiling. The reason why they didn't rush into the immortal mansion before was because they were unlucky. Moreover, they only had a total of 10 breaths of time, so they didn't make it. They were very confident in their own combat strength. "Both of you, hand over your storage rings!" one of the muscular men shouted coldly. Lu Ming and Yiling were speechless. Another wave of robbers? Previously it was Xueji, and now it was these people? Was it because they looked like they were easy to bully, or were these people blind? "Very good," Yiling said. "What's very good?" a muscular man asked. "If you take the initiative to give your treasures to us, that would be great," Yiling said calmly. Immediately, a cold murderous intent burst out from the muscular men's eyes. From their point of view, Yiling's words were just a prank. "You're courting death. Let's send them on their way first," the muscular men shouted coldly. Their murderous intent was as sharp as a knife, and they were about to attack. Lu Ming shook his head and observed a moment of silence for these people. These few burly men were undoubtedly very powerful. Lu Ming might not be fully confident if he were to go against them. Unfortunately, they were up against Yiling. In that case, the outcome was already decided. Swoosh! A dazzling sword light burst out and disappeared in a flash. The muscular men followed in the footsteps of Xueji and the others. The sword light pierced through the space between their eyebrows and destroyed their souls. They died on the spot. The surrounding people gasped and looked at Yiling in horror. Those burly men had previously displayed their terrifying strength. However, they were instantly killed by Yiling. Fortunately, they did not attack just now. Otherwise, they would have died miserably. With a wave of his hand, he collected the storage rings of the muscular men. Then, the two of them left the place and flew into the distance. After flying for a long distance, the two of them found a secluded place and stopped. Then, they took out the storage rings on their hands and counted them. Shui Ji and the others naturally had many elixir furnaces. Lu Ming and Yiling split them equally. In addition to the elixir furnaces obtained from the immortal abode, the two of them each had close to 50 elixir furnaces. Lu Ming had about 80 elixir furnaces in addition to the 30 from before. This was a huge gain. If he activated all of them, the speed of refining desolation pills would be very fast. After the two of them split up, they continued to set off in the direction of the adversity-avoiding sea. 2 days later, the sky in front of them darkened and turned pitch black. On the ground in front of them was an endless black fog. This black fog not only covered the ground but also the sky, separating the entire world. The adversity-avoiding sea. This black fog was the adversity-avoiding sea. It separated the periphery of the Star Palace from the core. The adversity-avoiding sea was very dangerous. Without the adversity-avoiding airship, it would be difficult to cross it. "Look, the departure point is in front!" Yiling pointed ahead. Lu Ming also saw that in front of them, near the adversity-avoiding sea, there was a building that looked like a city. Lu Ming had seen the information. This was the departure point. It was not that easy to take the adversity-avoiding sea on the adversity-avoiding sea. There were some conditions. One of the conditions was that the adversity-avoiding airship could only be activated in a specific place. It was not as if one could activate the adversity-avoiding airship at any time just by gathering the 9 components. Only at a specific place in the departure point would the adversity-surpassing airship be activated and cross the adversity-surpassing ocean after absorbing the special energy. The building in front of them was the departure point. If one wanted to cross the adversity-avoiding sea, they had to depart from here. Therefore, anyone who wanted to enter the core area had to come here and depart from here. From afar, one could see figures flashing in the city. When they arrived, Yiling also changed his appearance. He was afraid that he would be recognized by the people from the heavenly palace. Then, the two of them flew towards the city. Lu Ming could only bite the bullet and fly into the city. Even though there were many people from the heavenly palace in the city and the chances of them recognizing him were very high, he had no choice but to enter the city. He could only take a gamble and hope that no one recognized Lu Ming. Fortunately, the two of them entered the city through the city gate. They met many people on the way, but no one recognized Lu Ming. Soon, the two of them arrived at a remote part of the city. There were many buildings in the city. Many of the buildings were empty. The two of them found an empty building to stay in. "Lu Ming, you stay here first. I'll go out and check out the situation," Yiling said. Lu Ming's target was too big. He would be easily recognized if he went out. Once he was recognized, it would be more troublesome and detrimental to their future plans. Chapter 43-23. Their plan was to use the spare parts of the crossing adversity airship to exchange for what they needed. If Lu Ming was discovered, they would be lucky if they could stay alive. They could forget about exchanging for the parts of the crossing adversity airship. "All right." Lu Ming nodded. After Yiling left, Lu Ming sat down cross-legged. He took out the desolation pills and started refining them. During this period of time, although he had not concocted great desolation pills, he had obtained quite a number of great desolation pills from others. For example, Shui Ji and the others had obtained about 100,000 desolation pills. After splitting them with Yiling, Lu Ming had about 50,000 desolation pills. Although he would need at least 1,200,000 desolation pills to break through to the 5th layer of the Emperor Supreme God realm, it was still a long way off. However, after refining them, his cultivation level would increase a little. He could not waste any time in the Taishang Immortal City. He opened his mouth and sucked in tens of thousands of desolation pills. Then, he started refining them. The speed at which Lu Ming refined the desolation pills was very fast. 50,000 desolation pills were refined within a few hours. Lu Ming's cultivation level had improved a little and his realm had become more stable. Of course, there was still a long way to go before he reached the 5th layer of the Emperor's Supreme God realm. After refining the desolation pills, Lu Ming continued to comprehend the ordinary secret techniques. He condensed the secret technique runes and merged them into his cells. Of course, they were all beginners. If he wanted to cultivate them to greater success, it would take too much time. He would have to find an opportunity in the future. In the blink of an eye, 2 days had passed. At this time, Yi Ling came back. "What's the news?" Lu Ming asked after he finished cultivating. "There's news. In 3 days, there will be a secret trade fair here. I've already gotten a spot. Let's go together. We might be able to get the missing parts of the Crossing Adversity airship. The extra parts might be able to exchange for a large amount of desolation pills," Yi Ling said. Lu Ming frowned slightly. This was indeed good news, but wouldn't he be recognized by the people of the Heavenly Palace if he went with them? As if he had guessed Lu Ming's thoughts, Yi Ling said, "Don't worry. This time, there won't be anyone from the Heavenly Palace participating. There won't be anyone from the Celestial Tribe, and there won't be any core disciples from the Heavenly Palace either. They'll all be from other tribes. Those big clans are also on guard against the Heavenly Human Tribe. After all, the Heavenly Human Tribe is too domineering. If the Heavenly Human Tribe participates in this trade fair, there will be no fairness. Maybe they will buy the treasures at a low price or directly rob them," Yi Ling said. Lu Ming suddenly realized that this was indeed the case. It seemed that the trade fair this time was held behind the Heavenly Human Tribe's back. There were very few people from other races who had seen Lu Ming. Perhaps they knew his appearance, but not many could recognize his life origin aura. With that, Lu Ming was relieved. "All right, let's go together in 2 days." Lu Ming nodded. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. The two of them set off and headed toward the east of the city. There were fewer buildings and even fewer people in the east of the city. Relatively speaking, it was more remote. Soon, the two of them arrived in front of a building. There were 2 people guarding the outside of the building. "The Metal Tribe!" Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The 2 burly men guarding the building were from the Metal Tribe, one of the top 10 tribes. "Both of you, there are already people living here. Please look for another place," one of the burly men from the Metal Tribe said. Yi Ling did not say anything. He took out 2 pieces of silver metal with strange patterns engraved on them. The 2 burly men from the Metal Tribe looked at each other. One of them said, "Both of you, please come in." With that, they stepped aside. The 2 of them walked in. There was a large hall inside. In the middle of the hall was a cave. When they walked in, it turned out to be a slanted staircase that extended all the way to the bottom. The 2 of them walked down the staircase. After making several turns, they finally reached the end. It turned out that there was a basement below. There were some chairs in the basement. At this time, there were already many people. Lu Ming glanced over and found that there were already more than 20 people. "The Demon Tribe, the Buddha Tribe, the Blood Tribe, and the Metal Tribe." Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He glanced over and found the 4 major tribes and the top 10 tribes. There were young people and strong men, but there was no doubt that they were all strong. The 4 major tribes were divided into 4 areas and sat together. There were also some people sitting on the other chairs. These people were scattered alone, or in groups of 2 or 3. These people only glanced at Lu Ming and Yi Ling casually, and did not pay much attention to them. Lu Ming and Yi Ling walked to the 2 chairs at the side and sat down. Next, people kept coming. The Battle Saint Tribe, the Soul Tribe, the 9 Great Plant Royal Tribes, and the Spirit Tribe. Lu Ming thought to himself. These tribes were all among the top 10 tribes. Among them, it was Lu Ming's first time seeing the 9 Great Plant Royal Tribes and the Spirit Tribe. In the Eldritch universe, there were many plant life forms. There were all kinds of plant life forms. Not all plant life forms could be called the top 10 tribes. Only the 9 great plant royal tribes, could form an alliance and be considered one of the top 10 tribes. There was also the spirit tribe. The spirit tribe was very special. They evolved from the spirits of heaven and earth. For example, the spirits of the 5 elements, such as the fire spirit, water spirit, metal spirit, wood spirit, and metal spirit. In addition, there were also the wind spirit, ice spirit, lightning spirit, light spirit, dark spirit, and so on. These spirits evolved from the spirits of heaven and earth and took human form. They were all called the spirit tribe. The spirit tribe was very few in number, but their strength was very terrifying. Every spirit tribe member had a special skill and was very powerful. Among the top 10 tribes, the spirit tribe had the least number of people. However, they could be ranked among the top 10 tribes. This showed how powerful they were. The demon tribe, the Buddha tribe, the metal tribe, the blood tribe, the battle saint tribe, the soul tribe, the 9 great plant royal tribes, the spirit tribe. 8 of the top 10 tribes are here. Only the angel tribe and the quasi-immortal tribe are not here yet, Lu Ming murmured in his heart. The quasi-immortal tribe was an extremely powerful and mysterious tribe. They were known as the strongest tribe under the celestial tribe in the primitive universe. The quasi-immortal tribe did not have many people, only a little more than the spirit tribe. They had always been very low-key, but no one doubted their strength. Some people said that even the celestial tribe had to give some face to the quasi-immortal tribe. Lu Ming had never seen the quasi-immortal tribe before. Even when he was a heavenly soldier, he had never seen anyone from the quasi-immortal tribe. This was because the quasi-immortal tribe would not go to the heavenly palace. Okay, everyone is here. At this time, a burly man stepped forward and came to the center of the basement. His footsteps made thumping sounds. This was a burly man from the metal tribe. His aura was as strong as a mountain. Everyone is here? There's no one from the angel tribe. It seems that the angel tribe is excluded. Very good. Lu Ming's heart stirred. The angel tribe had a deep relationship with the celestial tribe. Informing the angel tribe was equivalent to informing the celestial tribe. Therefore, it was normal to exclude the angel tribe. Chapter 43-24. That was even better. After all, Lu Ming had interacted with the angels the most. If the angels came, they might be able to recognize Lu Ming. Especially Gabbert. As such, no one at the scene recognized Lu Ming. Other than the people from the top 10 races, there were also some scattered people like Lu Ming and the others. There were not many of them. This is a temporary deal. I believe that everyone has gained a lot in the Grand Supreme Immortal City during this period of time. It's good for everyone to take out what you don't need to trade. It's the best of both worlds. However, after the deal is over, I hope that no one will spread the news. After all, it won't be good for anyone if the heavenly human race knows about it. The brawny man from the metal race said. Everyone nodded and agreed. All right. Who would like to trade first? The brawny man from the metal race said. I'll go first. Immediately, a skinny man in his 30s stood up and walked to the center. His palm glowed, and a battle sword appeared. This is a weapon I obtained from the Grand Supreme Immortal City. It's extremely sharp. I'm going to trade it for 10,000 desolation pills. Which friend wants to trade it? The skinny man said. No one spoke. Many people looked at him with disdain. You're too naive to trade a weapon from the Grand Supreme Immortal City for 10,000 desolation pills. That's right. Who doesn't have a weapon from the Grand Supreme Immortal City? You're actually using a weapon from the Grand Supreme Immortal City to trade for desolation pills? That's ridiculous. You should take out some precious items to trade, such as a pill furnace, a part of a ship, or some rare metal materials. Some people in the surroundings sneered mockingly. The skinny man's face was flushed red. In the end, he did not take out anything too precious. Instead, he put away his weapon and returned to his seat. Let me do it. At that moment, a young man stepped forward. The young man had a graceful bearing. Water vapor surrounded his body at all times, making him look hazy and elegant. He's from the spirit race. It seems like he's a water spirit. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. A piece of blue metal appeared in the spirit clan youth's hand. This piece of blue metal was about the size of a fist. It was completely blue, as if there was water flowing around it. It gave off a special aura. This aura was very similar to the Great Desolation Chi. Everyone, this piece of metal was obtained from the Supreme Immortal City. I believe everyone knows that pill furnaces and weapons are not allowed to be taken out of the Supreme Immortal City. However, this kind of basic metal can be taken out. This material is very extraordinary. It can be used to forge some divine weapons with special effects. 60 solar years ago, many seniors brought out some of these metals and forged them into divine weapons that were famous in the primitive universe. The Spirit Tribe youth explained. Many people were tempted. The metal materials produced in the Taishang Immortal City were indeed extraordinary. They had all kinds of miraculous effects. The divine weapons refined from them were also different from the divine weapons of the desolate universe. They had special effects and were very valuable. However, this kind of metal material was extremely rare. In the Supreme Immortal City, very few people could obtain it. Who would have thought that the Spirit Clan youth would be able to obtain one? Perhaps this had something to do with his constitution. What do you want to exchange this metal for? Someone asked. Exchange for 100,000 Great Desolation pills. The Spirit Clan youth said. 100,000 Great Desolation pills? That's a lot. That's too much. 100,000 Great Desolation pills is too much. Many people shook their heads. A special metal material for 100,000 Great Desolation pills? Many people shook their heads. Lu Ming needed many more Great Desolation pills to break through to the next cultivation level. However, the others didn't need so many Great Desolation pills to break through to the next cultivation level. Many people could break through to the 6th Great Supreme God layer with 100,000 Great Desolation pills. The price was too high. It's too expensive. It's not worth it. Many people shook their heads. After a while, no one agreed to the exchange. The Spirit Clan youth looked a bit disappointed. Then he said, if 100,000 Great Desolation pills isn't enough, then I'll exchange it for a pill furnace with a diameter of 3 meters. A pill furnace with a diameter of 3 meters is worth more than 100,000 Great Desolation pills. How about this? I'll give you 3 pill furnaces with a diameter of 1 meter, said a muscular demon at that moment. 3 pill furnaces with a diameter of 3 meters? That's too little. No, absolutely not. The Spirit Clan youth shook his head. 4 pill furnaces with a diameter of 1 meter at most. That's all. I don't want any more, said the muscular demon. 4 pill furnaces with a diameter of 1 meter. The Spirit Clan youth hesitated for a moment, then clenched his teeth and said, all right, I agree. If he didn't want to stockpile more pill furnaces, he wouldn't be willing to exchange them. In the end, the muscular demon took out 4 pill furnaces and exchanged them with the Spirit Clan youth for the blue metal material. The Spirit Clan youth got what he wanted and returned to his seat. Next, someone else took out a pill furnace and wanted to exchange it for Great Desolation pills. In fact, pill furnaces were similar to Great Desolation pills. However, some people were in a hurry to break through to the next cultivation level, so they used pill furnaces to exchange for Great Desolation pills. After all, refining Great Desolation pills took time. This person was like that. Exchanging pill furnaces for Great Desolation pills was usually a loss. Naturally, someone else made the exchange and quickly completed the exchange. Should I exchange my pill furnaces for some Great Desolation pills? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He had a lot of pill furnaces, but it would take a lot of time to refine them into Great Desolation pills. If he could exchange them for Great Desolation pills, Lu Ming could quickly break through to the next cultivation level. I have 80 pill furnaces with me. I can't exchange a pill furnace with a diameter of 3 meters, but a pill furnace with a diameter of 1 meter can be exchanged for 30,000 Great Desolation pills. That's not bad, Lu Ming thought. A pill furnace with a diameter of 1 meter would take more than 3 years to refine 30,000 Great Desolation pills. Exchanging 30,000 Great Desolation pills for a pill furnace was completely worth it. As long as he kept refining Great Desolation pills, he would be able to break even after 3 years. In the future, it would be a profit. Therefore, it shouldn't be difficult to exchange them. Immediately, Lu Ming stepped forward and walked to the center. Pairs of eyes looked at Lu Ming. I'll exchange a pill furnace with a diameter of 1 meter for Great Desolation pills. 1 pill furnace for 30,000 Great Desolation pills. Who wants to exchange? Lu Ming said loudly. Me! Me too! Immediately, many people started to speak. A pill furnace with a diameter of 3 meters would break even in 3 years. This was referring to the outer area of the Astral Palace. In the core area of the Astral Palace, the Great Desolation Chi was denser, and the speed of refining Great Desolation pills would be faster. It wouldn't take 3 years at all. Naturally, many people wanted to exchange. Chapter 43:25. Instantly, 6 to 7 people stood up, indicating that they wanted to trade. Senior, how many do you want to trade? Lu Ming looked at an expert in the prime of his life. This person was an expert from the Battle Saint tribe. Because of the battle god Yuanwen, Lu Ming's impression of the Battle Saint tribe was slightly better. Naturally, he was more willing to trade with them. I want 5, the expert from the Battle Saint tribe said. After that, he took out an interspatial ring and passed it to Lu Ming. With a wave of his hand, Lu Ming received the interspatial ring. With a sweep of his spiritual sense, he discovered that there were 150,000 Great Desolation pills inside. A satisfied smile appeared on Lu Ming's face. This expert from the Battle Saint tribe had a cultivation base at the 6th layer of the Divine God realm. Clearly, if he wanted to break through to the 7th layer of the Divine God realm, the number of Great Desolation pills he needed was far more than 150,000. That was why he didn't refine them yet. Most probably, he wanted to wait for more Great Desolation pills to refine them all at once. Lu Ming moved the 150,000 Great Desolation pills into his interspatial ring. After that, he took out 5 pill furnaces with a diameter of 1 meter and placed them into the interspatial ring. After that, he returned the interspatial ring to the expert from the Battle Saint tribe. The expert from the Battle Saint tribe had a satisfied expression on his face after he scanned the interspatial ring with his spiritual sense. Although he had to pay 150,000 Great Desolation pills for the time being, it was only a matter of time before he entered the core region. With the extra 5 pill furnaces, he would be able to refine 150,000 Great Desolation pills very quickly. This was a business that was sure to be profitable. Friend, how many pill furnaces do you want to trade? Lu Ming asked another person. 3. Next, Lu Ming took out 20 pill furnaces with a diameter of 1 meter. In total, he obtained 600,000 Great Desolation pills. At this point, Lu Ming didn't take out any more pill furnaces to trade. He only had a total of 80 pill furnaces. After trading away 20, there were still 60 left. He wanted to keep them for himself in the future. Beside him, Yi Ling was also tempted. He also wanted to take out his alchemy furnace to trade. However, he hesitated for a moment and gave up. He had the strength of the 6th great supreme god layer, but he was also a peerless genius. Breaking through to the next great supreme god layer required a terrifying amount of desolate pellets, far more than 1,000,000. Therefore, even if he took out a dozen cauldrons and obtained 1,000,000 desolate pellets, it wouldn't be enough for him to break through. It was better to keep the pill furnace and go to the core area. Next, the transactions continued. People continuously took out treasures to trade. Of course, not every transaction was successful. Some succeeded, while others failed. However, no one took out the parts of the crossing adversity airship to exchange for it. Lu Ming and Yi Ling looked at each other and decided not to wait any longer. Everyone, I have a part of the crossing adversity airship here. It's part of the stern. I'm using it to exchange for the bow part of the crossing adversity airship. Is anyone interested? Yi Ling stood up and said. Components of the crossing adversity airship. The stern. Many people's eyes lit up with excitement. I need the stern part, but I don't have the bow part. Do you want the whole part? You can exchange for it. An expert from the Blood tribe said. We have the whole part. We don't need it. However, the sails are fine too, Yi Ling said. I don't have the sails. The expert from the Blood tribe looked disappointed. I do have the sails, but I also have the stern part. Do you have the deck part? You can exchange for it with me. At that moment, a strong man from the Spirit tribe stood up and said, I have the deck part. Yi Ling's eyes lit up. They had 5 extra parts. The deck part was one of them. All right, let's exchange. The strong man from the Spirit tribe smiled. The two of them took out their parts and exchanged for it. They were very satisfied. Lu Ming and Yi Ling also smiled with satisfaction. In this way, they had gathered 8 parts. They were only missing the bow part. As long as they could find the bow, they could form a complete crossing adversity airship. They could cross the adversity-avoiding ocean and head to the core area. Everyone who has the bow part, I can exchange it for the other parts, Yi Ling continued. However, no one spoke. No one responded. After a while, someone said, I also lack the bow part. If anyone has more, I can buy it with desolation pills. You also lack the bow part. I don't have the bow part either. I don't have it either. Many people shook their heads. This made the faces of Lu Ming, Yi Ling, and the others present sink. Why were there so many people lacking the bow part? I want to know, who among the people here has the position of the bow of the ship? Yi Ling asked. I don't have it. I don't have it either. Almost everyone shook their heads. This caused everyone's expressions to turn somewhat ugly. What was going on? No one had a seat at the head of the ship? Something's not right. Logically speaking, there are so many people here, and more than one immortal abode has been explored. They should definitely have the bow part. But now no one has it? Someone spoke. Everyone, if anyone has the bow part, why don't you exchange it for it? There's no point in keeping it. Someone else said. Still, no one spoke. It's not necessarily useless to keep it. If we monopolize the bow part, then the others won't be able to go to the core area. That way, the competition will be greatly reduced, someone said coldly. This made many people's faces freeze. Lu Ming and Yi Ling were the same. Indeed, if someone controlled a large number of bow parts and did not exchange it, then the others would not be able to gather enough crossing adversity airships to go to the core area. That way, the competition in the core area would be greatly reduced. It would also make it difficult for some geniuses to obtain enough desolation pills to break through to the next realm. It would reduce the pressure of competing for the origin seed. Many people had thought of this. Everyone who has a large number of bow parts. Say it. If you're discovered later, you'll be in trouble, someone said coldly. The threat was obvious. The meaning was obvious. If someone hid a large number of bow parts and did not exchange it, and was discovered later, they would be targeted and even killed by everyone. But still, no one spoke. I don't think anyone at the scene has the position of the bow of the ship. At this time, Lu Ming spoke, attracting the attention of others. If no one here has the bow part, then tell me, who has it? Someone must have the bow part. According to the records, the parts of every immortal abode can be gathered. There are so many of us, it's impossible that we can't gather them, someone retorted. Who do you think, or what faction, has the power to sweep through so many immortal abodes and obtain a large number of bow parts? Lu Ming asked. Almost everyone's eyes narrowed. They all thought of a faction, or rather, a race. The heavenly human race. Chapter 43-26. Celestial Race. Everyone thought of a name, and that was the Celestial Race. Only the celestial race had the ability to do this. Most people's expressions turned ugly. If it was really the celestial race, then it would be troublesome. The celestial race controlled the bow of the ship. If they didn't hand it over and didn't let others enter the core area to reduce the competition, what could they do? Did they dare to find trouble with the celestial race? Did they dare to ask the celestial race for it? Who dared to offend the celestial race? Everyone, I think you've already thought of it. The one controlling the bow of the ship is most likely the celestial race, Lu Ming said again. So what if we know? Do we dare to find trouble with the celestial race? Someone asked with a bitter expression. Why not? Lu Ming said coldly. Everyone was shocked and looked at Lu Ming in shock. Lu Ming was so bold to find trouble with the celestial race. Was he not afraid of death? Most of you here are from the top 10 races. Even if you're not, you're from other powerful races. Are you so cowardly? Lu Ming sneered, revealing a contemptuous expression. Everyone's expressions turned even uglier, but the celestial race's power was too strong. Everyone entered the Taishang Immortal City to obtain opportunities and obtain stronger cultivation to surpass others and enter a higher realm in the future. However, if you're blocked outside the core area, your progress will be very limited. As for fighting for the origin seed in a few decades, don't even think about it. Giving up on entering the core area means giving up on the opportunity in the Taishang Immortal City. Are you willing to do that? Lu Ming asked again. Many people's eyes flickered with reluctance. Everyone present, especially some young people and even peerless geniuses on the universe prodigy list, were all arrogant people. If they gave up on the opportunity in the Taishang Immortal City, the gap between them and others would become bigger and bigger. How could they be willing to do that? However, the other party was the celestial race. You mean, we should join forces and ask the celestial race for the bow of the ship? However, right now, this is still just a guess. We haven't confirmed that the celestial race is in control of the bow of the ship. Perhaps it's someone else? If it's not the heavenly human tribe, it's not worth it to offend the heavenly human tribe rashly. Someone spoke up cautiously. The others nodded in agreement. That's simple. We'll know who's controlling the bow once we try, Lu Ming said. How? Many people asked in unison. It's very simple. The goal of the person controlling the bow is to prevent others from forming the adversity crossing airship and entering the core area to reduce competition. However, at this time, if someone stands out and says that he has many seats at the bow and is willing to exchange them for other treasures, what do you think the person controlling the bow will do? Lu Ming said. He will definitely fly into a rage out of humiliation. After being reminded by Lu Ming, many people immediately thought of this. That's right. He will fly into a rage out of humiliation. He might even kill and seize the bow of the ship to continue monopolizing it. As long as someone releases the news that there's a transaction at a certain place, the person who really controls the bow of the ship will definitely go over and appear. At that time, it will naturally be clear whether the celestial race is the one who monopolizes it or not, Lu Ming said. That's right. This plan is indeed feasible. Many people nodded. The plan is feasible, but who will release the news? The person who releases the news will definitely be targeted by the celestial race. Someone spoke, and the scene fell silent again. The person who released the news was equivalent to bait. He would be targeted and would be in danger. No one was willing to be the bait. Let the two of us release the news. We'll choose a place and release the news. Then, you guys will pretend to trade with us and lure out the person who really controls the bow of the ship. What do you think? Lu Ming said. Your plan is feasible, but if the other party is really the celestial race, what should we do? Another person asked. What should we do? Do you still need to ask me this? We cultivators are originally going against the heavens and are fearless. If we retreat because of fear, how can we embark on the path of the strongest in the future? How can we overcome all obstacles and set foot on the peak? Moreover, we have so many people working together. If the other party is really the celestial race, we can join forces and force them to hand over the position of the bow of the ship. Lu Ming said. Force the celestial race. Some people's faces were a little pale. The celestial race's accumulated power was too deep. Many people were terrified. However, some people's eyes began to flash with cold light, especially those young people, especially the peerless geniuses on the universe prodigy list. They were originally proud and arrogant, so naturally, they were more courageous. And just as Lu Ming said, if they shrank back and lost this opportunity, the gap between them and the others would widen. Then, their achievements in this life would be very limited. They were destined to not have great achievements. How could these peerless geniuses be willing to accept this? If you are afraid that the celestial race will pursue this matter, then you can just get rid of them. In this way, no one will know, right? Lu Ming said coldly. Some of the more timid ones gasped and looked at Lu Ming with some horror. How dare he want to get rid of the celestial race and silence them? This person's guts were simply overwhelming. I think it's feasible. At this time, a young man from the demon race spoke. This person had shoulder-length black hair and cold eyes. He had a demonic nature. Lu Ming recognized that this was an extremely powerful person. He was a peerless genius on the universe prodigy list, ranked in the 70s, much stronger than Gabbert. I think it's feasible too. Another young man also spoke. He was also a genius on the universe prodigy list. Two geniuses on the universe prodigy list spoke in succession, and the others couldn't help but become bolder. Let's do it like that. Let's do it. We can't miss the opportunity in front of us. Let's do it. Next, more and more people expressed their opinions. However, not everyone had the guts to do so. Some people's faces were a little pale, and they remained silent. I know what you are thinking. Some of you want to enjoy the fruits of others' labor. The crossing adversity flying ship can carry more than one person. Some of you want to wait for us to gather the parts and then take a ride, right? Ha, what a good plan! Lu Ming sneered. Many people's faces turned pale, and they glared at Lu Ming. Lu Ming saw through their thoughts. Indeed, some people had this plan. They didn't want to participate in this matter and let Lu Ming and the others make a fuss. If they succeeded, they could take a ride and not offend the celestial race, and they could also enter the core area. It was the best of both worlds. Unfortunately, Lu Ming saw through them. You are too naive. Those who don't participate are not allowed to take a ride, the genius on the universe prodigy list said coldly. The demonic nature in his eyes became stronger, and he was wanton and arrogant as if he would attack at any time. Chapter 43:27. That's right. Since you don't dare to participate, then stay in the outer area, another young Heaven's Pride said coldly. I'd like to add one more thing. Regardless of whether you're a participant or not, you'll have to swear on your life essence that you'll never divulge this matter to anyone. If someone agrees on the surface but secretly divulges this information to the heavenly human tribe, we'll all be in trouble, Lu Ming said again. That's right. Swear on your life origin. The demon tribe youth and the others nodded and looked around. I agreed to join. Me too. Then, more and more people nodded and decided to join Lu Ming and take the risk. If they could really get rid of the heavenly human tribe, it was not impossible to kill them. The Taishang Immortal City had a special environment. Even if they killed the people of the heavenly human tribe, the top elites of the heavenly palace would not be able to calculate it. In the end, more than 70% of the people agreed to join. The remaining 30% did not have the courage and shook their heads and gave up. Of course, Lu Ming and the rest still forced them to swear an oath with their life source to ensure that they would not leak this information. After everyone had sworn, they began to discuss the specific details and decide on the location. Everyone, let's continue with the trade. Otherwise, even if we get the bow, we still lack the other parts. It's useless. That's right. Let's get the other parts. We'll talk about the bow only, someone said one after another. Not everyone was like Lu Ming and the others who only lacked the bow. Some people lacked several parts. Even if they got the bow, it would be useless. Lu Ming and Yi Ling naturally did not object. They still had 4 spare parts in their hands, and they also wanted to sell them. Then, the trade continued. Everyone, I still have 4 parts. They are the keel, the stern. Yi Ling stood up and continued. This time, I will not exchange for other parts. I will only exchange for desolation pills. Each part is worth 300,000 desolation pills. If you need them, come and exchange, Yi Ling said. Now, they only lacked the bow and did not need other parts. They planned to exchange all of them for desolation pills. Exchanging one component for 300,000 great desolate pills was not too expensive. This could be seen from how difficult it was for Lu Ming and the others to obtain the components of the crossing adversity airship in the immortal abode. Most people would not be able to obtain the components of the crossing adversity flying ship. If not for Yi Ling's powerful strength and the 2 of them working together, it would not have been easy to obtain them. As one could imagine, this price was not considered expensive. I want a kind of stern. Immediately someone spoke up. It was from one of the 9 royal plant races. It wasn't just one person taking out 300,000 desolate pills. Instead, it was the combined efforts of many experts from the 9 great plant royalty. After all, one adversity crossing airship could carry many people. Yi Ling was delighted and quickly completed the transaction. After that, other people came to trade. If there were not enough great desolate pills, a few people would pool together. In this way, Lu Ming and Yi Ling sold the 4 spare parts and received 1,200,000 desolation pills. The 2 of them split the pills equally, and each of them had 600,000 pills. 600,000, plus the 600,000 I got from selling the cauldrons, it's enough for me to break through to the 5th great supreme god layer. Lu Ming thought and couldn't help but smile. His current battle strength was still a little low. If he could break through to the 5th great supreme god layer, his battle strength would skyrocket, and he would be more confident. Next, the others also began to trade for the components they needed. 2 hours later, the transaction was complete. Most of them had obtained what they needed. Unfortunately, in the end, no one was able to gather a complete crossing adversity flying ship. They all lacked a stern. Everything would depend on 3 days later. After the transaction, everyone walked outside. However, when they reached the outside, they stopped. Many people's hearts sank, and their faces turned ugly. That was because the outside was blocked by people. A group of people blocked in front of them. They were from the angel race. There were more than 10 of them. You're finally out. Other than the quasi-saint race and the angel race, the other 8 races of the top 10 races are here. I really want to know, what are you doing inside? A young man from the angel race said coldly. What are we doing? We don't need to tell the angel race. A brawny man from the demon race snorted coldly. The demon race and the angel race were sworn enemies, and there was always friction between them. If it weren't for the heavenly palace, the 2 races would have already broken out into a war. Do you think we won't know if you don't tell us? You're trading, right? You're excluding the heavenly human race and trading privately. Hee, I wonder what the heavenly human race will think if they find out. The young man from the angel race sneered coldly. The faces of the people from the other 8 races became unsightly. If the heavenly human race found out that they were trading privately, it would affect their plan. I guessed right. I'll definitely tell the heavenly human race about this. The young man from the angel race sneered even more. Ah, you are. At this time, a brawny man from the angel race pointed at Lu Ming, his eyes wide open in shock. I've been recognized. A cold glint flashed across Lu Ming's eyes. This brawny man from the angel race had seen Lu Ming before. Now that he saw Lu Ming and sensed the aura of Lu Ming's life origin, he immediately recognized Lu Ming. However, he was too shocked. The people here were all elites from the top 10 races. Every one of them wanted to kill Lu Ming. Lu Ming was among them. He was too bold. Therefore, he was so shocked that he didn't call out Lu Ming's name for a while. Lu Ming wouldn't give him another chance. Yi Ling, kill that brawny man from the angel race. Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Yi Ling. At the same time, Lu Ming rushed out and shouted, "Let's kill them together. We can't let them spread the news to the heavenly human race." Before he finished speaking, Lu Ming had already rushed in front of the young man from the angel race. Swoosh! A dazzling spear radiance shot out and pierced toward the young man from the angel race. Lu Ming immediately used the heaven-splitting form. You! The young man from the angel race was terrified. He had never expected Lu Ming to suddenly attack. It was too late for him to block it. Poof! The spear radiance pierced through his glabella. His soul was annihilated, and he died on the spot. Yi Ling also made his move. Yi Ling's reaction was very fast. He was also very smart. When he heard Lu Ming's voice transmission and saw the expression on the brawny man from the angel race, he knew that the other party had recognized Lu Ming. Therefore, he couldn't let the other party live. Almost at the same time that Lu Ming rushed out, Yi Ling also made his move. Like a stream of light, he rushed toward the brawny man from the angel race who had recognized Lu Ming. A sword radiance pierced toward the brawny man from the angel race like a flying immortal. Chapter 43:28. Yi Ling also used his killer move. His sword light was extremely sharp. The strong angel screamed and holy light exploded. Dense angelic sword light appeared on his body. He wanted to fight back. This strong man's cultivation was at the 6th layer of the great supreme god realm. He was very strong and difficult to deal with. Therefore, Lu Ming didn't attack the strong angel immediately. Instead, he let Yi Ling deal with him. If he attacked, he wasn't confident that he could kill this strong man. If he couldn't kill him immediately and let him call out his name, then he would be in trouble. He knew that Yi Ling was smart and would understand what he meant. As expected, Yi Ling also attacked immediately. Although this strong angel was strong, it was a pity that he had met Yi Ling. Yi Ling's cultivation was at the same level as his, but his battle power was much stronger. With a poof, Yi Ling's swordlight broke through the angel's swordlight and accurately pierced the angel's swordlight between his eyebrows. The terrifying sword will tore the angel's swordlight into pieces. One move and he was killed. Lu Ming and Yi Ling attacked and killed their opponents in an instant. It was too fast. It was only after Lu Ming and Yi Ling had killed their respective opponents that the rest came to their senses. The people from the other races were shocked. They hadn't expected Lu Ming and Yi Ling to be so decisive and ruthless. Their opponents were from the angel race, one of the top 10 races. They had a deep relationship with the heavenly human tribe. Ordinary people would hesitate when facing the angel race. They would respect them and wouldn't dare to attack recklessly. As for Lu Ming and Yi Ling, they had directly killed the two opponents without any hesitation. They were simply too decisive. You're courting death! The other angels also reacted. They roared crazily. They were furious. If you don't attack and let them escape, we'll all be finished. Don't you want the opportunity? Don't you want to go to the core area? Shouted Lu Ming. Attack! The peerless genius from the demon race on the universe genius list was the most decisive. He was shrouded in demon chi and charged at the angels. His demon blade was extremely sharp. He slashed at the angels. The other experts of the demon race also followed him. Attack! There's no way back! Kill! The other races that had agreed to join forces with Lu Ming and the others were also attacking the angels. They weren't as fearful of the angel tribe as they were of the heavenly human tribe. What do you want? Damn it! Retreat! Retreat! The angel roared. His heart sank as fear appeared on his face. They did not expect that people from other races would also attack them. However, how could they retreat now? There were so many experts at the scene. They had already surrounded them. All kinds of terrifying attacks were launched towards the angels. More than 10 angels couldn't resist at all. They screamed miserably and died on the spot. After a round of attacks, all the angels were killed. Clean up the corpses. Let's leave quickly, Lu Ming said. He waved his hand and collected an angel's corpse. Then, his figure flashed and flew into the distance. The other races did the same. They collected all the angels' corpses and wiped away the traces of their attack. Then, they scattered in all directions and disappeared into various buildings. They had caused a huge commotion when they killed the angels. They had probably alerted the heavenly human tribe. Hence, they had to leave as soon as possible. Indeed, not long after Lu Ming and the others left, a few figures flashed and appeared. They were the heavenly human tribe members. The heavenly human tribe members scanned the surroundings with sharp eyes. The aura here is very chaotic. It seems like there are many races here. It seems like there was a chaotic battle here just now, one of the heavenly human tribe members said. Heh, it's probably another show of killing and robbing. It's been happening quite often recently. Well, let these despicable races kill each other. Our race can have less competition. That's right. Originally, these despicable races weren't qualified to enter the Taishang Immortal City. If we didn't need them to deal with those traitors, The heavenly human tribe members snorted coldly. They didn't think much of it and left the place. Lu Ming and Yi Ling returned to the place where they had stayed. They divided their gains equally. I need to cultivate for a while. Call me in 3 days, Lu Ming said. Go on. You've obtained so many desolation pills this time. You should be able to make a breakthrough in your cultivation base, Yi Ling said with a look of anticipation. He also hoped that Lu Ming could make a breakthrough. That way, his combat strength would increase greatly and he would be able to help him. The reason why he wanted to work with Lu Ming was because he saw Lu Ming's potential. He knew that the Forbidden Constitution had endless potential. Even if others had desolation pills, they wouldn't be able to refine and make a breakthrough in 3 days. However, the Forbidden Constitution could. It shouldn't be a problem. Lu Ming nodded. Then, he walked into one of the rooms and sat down cross-legged. With a wave of his hand, 100,000 desolation pills flew out. Lu Ming took a deep breath and sucked all 100,000 desolation pills into his mouth. As soon as the 100,000 desolation pills entered Lu Ming's mouth, they turned into surging energy and dispersed into the 60 trillion cells in his body. It was like the 60 trillion cells were being refined at the same time. The speed was astonishing. Soon, the energy of the desolation pills had turned into forbidden energy. Lu Ming's forbidden energy had increased. Continue. After refining the 100,000 desolation pills, Lu Ming took out another 100,000 desolation pills and started refining them. 100,000 desolation pills and 100,000 desolation pills. In less than 2 days, 2 million desolation pills had been refined by Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body was filled with violent energy. Break! Lu Ming shouted. He mobilized the forbidden energy and broke through to the 5th layer of the Emperor's Supreme God Realm. The bottleneck of the 5th layer of the Emperor's Supreme God Realm couldn't stop Lu Ming at all. With a boom, Lu Ming had broken through to a new level. He had successfully broken through to the 5th layer of the Emperor's Supreme God Realm. Lu Ming's combat strength increased crazily again. So fast, he really broke through. Outside the room, Yi Ling's eyes were filled with astonishment. Although he had long known that Lu Ming was very talented and had a taboo body, it was still beyond his expectations. 2 days. It had only been 2 days and Lu Ming had broken through. It was so terrifying that it was beyond his imagination. Is this the forbidden body? It's unfathomable. Fei Yi and the others are really blind. They can only be friends with such a person, they can't offend him. As long as he doesn't die, those who are friends with him will also obtain great opportunities. Yi Ling took a few deep breaths and slowly calmed down. Some thoughts in his heart had become even more firm. Lu Ming didn't immediately stop cultivating. He continued to cultivate and consolidate his cultivation. After half a day, he stopped cultivating. His cultivation had basically stabilized. Chapter 43-29. In less than 3 days, Lu Ming's cultivation level had completely stabilized at the 5th layer of the Emperor's Supreme God realm. His fighting power had increased by 3 stars. In addition, Lu Ming's fighting power was slightly stronger than a 12-star one. If his opponent was a 9th layer Emperor's Supreme God, he would be able to fight them. During the few days that Lu Ming was cultivating in seclusion, a piece of news quickly spread. Someone had taken control of the bow of the ship and wanted to exchange it for other treasures. The agreed location was a mountain more than 300,000 miles away from the departure point. This news was spread by the other races that had agreed to cooperate with Lu Ming. This was the plan that Lu Ming and the others had discussed beforehand. They would spread the news first. When the person who really controlled the bow of the ship heard the news, he would definitely be furious. He would not allow such a thing to happen. Then, he would definitely kill his way to the agreed location. It's about time. Let's go, Lu Ming said to Yi Ling as he walked out of the room. The two nodded. Then, they left the departure point and headed south. 300,000 miles was soon covered. There was a huge mountain here. Lu Ming and Yi Ling landed at the peak of the mountain. They chose a green rock and sat down cross-legged, waiting quietly. As bait, they naturally had to arrive early. Not long after, the other races also set off. They rushed to the mountain peak and landed at the peak. The demon race, the Battle Saint tribe, the 9 great plant royal tribes, etc., had all agreed to cooperate. I heard that you have the bow of the ship? How do you want to trade? The demon race genius on the universe genius list asked loudly. Since he was acting, he naturally had to go all out. After all, his target had yet to appear. That's right. I was lucky enough to get a few bow of the ship. I'll use them to exchange for pill furnaces or desolation pills. A bow of the ship can be exchanged for a pill furnace with a diameter of 3 meters or 1 million desolation pills. Who's willing? Lu Ming deliberately shouted. His voice spread far and wide. I want to trade. I'll use a pill furnace with a diameter of 3 meters to trade with you. The demon race genius gritted his teeth and took out a pill furnace with a diameter of 3 meters. Wait! Right at this moment, a cold and indifferent voice resounded. The voice was filled with arrogance and haughtiness. Following that, several figures flew over from the distant sky. There were a total of more than 10 figures, each of them emitting a powerful aura. Everyone on the mountain peak felt a strong pressure. Heavenly human tribe. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes and looked at the sky. Killing intent flashed in the depths of his eyes. Sure enough, it was the celestial race. His guess was right. As for the people of the other races, their hearts skipped a beat. Panic flashed in the depths of their eyes. After all, the heavenly human tribe was too powerful. When everyone saw the members of the heavenly human tribe, they couldn't help but panic. It really is the heavenly human tribe. What a pity. I was hoping it would be someone else. Many people sighed inwardly. They had originally hoped that the one controlling the ship's bow wasn't someone from the celestial race, but someone else. That way, they wouldn't have to be afraid, and they would be able to take action. The result they wanted to see the most was the heavenly human tribe. Unfortunately, things didn't go as they wished. Now, they could only brace themselves. The dozen or so members of the heavenly human tribe were extremely fast. In a few flashes, they appeared in the sky above the mountain peak. They stood in the air and looked down at Lu Ming and the others. There were a few young members of the heavenly human tribe. The rest were in their prime. In particular, there were a few young men from the heavenly human tribe who emitted an aura that made one's heart tremble. One of the young men from the heavenly human tribe stepped out and looked at Lu Ming and Yi Ling with a sharp and arrogant gaze. Do you have the position of the bow of the ship in your hands? The young man from the heavenly human tribe asked coldly. So what if I do? So what if I don't? Lu Ming replied indifferently. Lu Ming's tone made the young man from the heavenly human tribe flash with cold killing intent. How dare this person talk to him with such an attitude? If you do, hand over all the positions of the bow of the ship to me. If you don't, I will kill you! the young man from the heavenly human tribe said in a domineering tone, as if there was no room for doubt. Trade with you? No, first come first serve. Since they arrived first, I naturally have to give them the position of the bow of the ship. You guys can only queue at the back. Lu Ming spoke. Queue at the back? Seems like you still don't understand my meaning. I'm not negotiating with you or trading with you. I'm ordering you to hand over the position of the bow of the ship to me. The young man from the heavenly human tribe spoke, his voice getting colder and colder. The killing intent in his eyes was no longer concealed. The threat was obvious. However, Lu Ming didn't care about his threat at all. That won't do. You have to ask everyone here if they agree or not. Lu Ming turned his gaze to the Devil Race, Battle Saint Tribe, and the other races. You guys don't agree? The young man from the heavenly human tribe turned his gaze to the Devil Race, Battle Saint Tribe, and the other races. The hearts of these races started to panic. However, when they thought of the good fortune in the core region, they could only brace themselves. Lords from the heavenly human tribe, I'm sorry. We really lack the position of the bow of the ship. Without the position of the bow, we can't enter the core region. Hence, we must obtain the position of the bow of the ship. The prodigy from the Devil Race on the Universe Prodigy list spoke first. Was someone speaking up? The others became bolder. They all spoke up. Me too. We only lack the position of the bow of the ship. How dare you? The young man from the heavenly human tribe was furious. How dare you? Are you trying to go against the heavenly human tribe? We have no intention of going against the heavenly human tribe. We only want the position of the bow of the ship. If the lords from the heavenly human tribe also lack the position of the bow of the ship, we can give one to you. The prodigy from the Devil Race said. I don't need one. I want all of them. All of the positions of the bow of the ship. Do you understand? The young man from the heavenly human tribe shouted. The scene fell silent. Everyone looked at the young man from the heavenly human tribe with a strange gaze. The matter was very clear. The heavenly human tribe didn't want one but all of them. It was obvious that they wanted to monopolize the position of the bow of the ship so that others couldn't enter the core region. Previously they had been probing. Now they didn't need to do so. It was very obvious. It seems that the position of the bow of the ship has really been monopolized by the heavenly human tribe. It should be with one of you. Is it with you? Lu Ming stood up and looked at the young man from the heavenly human tribe. You talk too much nonsense. I'll say it again. Hand over the position of the bow of the ship. Otherwise, I'll let you die a horrible death. The young man from the heavenly human tribe shouted. He had lost his patience. No. I should be the one saying this to you. Now, hand over the position of the bow of the ship. Otherwise, I'll let you die a horrible death, Lu Ming said indifferently. Chapter 43:30. What? You? The young man from the heavenly human tribe was stunned for a moment. Lu Ming was telling the truth. He actually wanted to rob him of the bow of the ship. Audacious. This despicable ant was simply audacious. However, the young man from the heavenly human tribe was not stupid. He quickly reacted and stared at Lu Ming. He shouted. So, you don't have the bow of the ship with you? You are deliberately blackmailing me, I guessed it right. The one who really monopolizes the bow of the ship is your heavenly human tribe. You want to prevent others from entering the core area to reduce the competition. How despicable! Lu Ming sneered. The young man from the heavenly human tribe and the other heavenly human tribe members' faces turned cold. Even if you have guessed it, so what? How dare you blackmail us? Today, you will die miserably, the young man from the heavenly human tribe said coldly. A powerful aura burst out, and he was about to attack. Your heavenly human tribe only has this many people. Do you think you can match us? Lu Ming sneered. In the surroundings, the Devil Tribe, Battle Saint Tribe, Buddha Tribe, and the 9 plant tribes all released powerful auras and looked at the people from the heavenly human tribe with evil intentions. This made the people from the heavenly human tribe feel great pressure. Their bodies that were about to attack also stiffened. Audacious. What do you want to do? The young man from the heavenly human tribe roared and looked at the other tribes coldly. What I want to do is very simple. I want you to hand over the bow of the ship so that everyone can enter the core area, Lu Ming said loudly. He agreed on behalf of the other tribes and left them with no way out. That's right. The Taishang Immortal City is a fair competition. The lords from the heavenly human tribe have monopolized the bow of the ship. Isn't it too much? Why don't we take it out for a trade? It's a win-win situation, a muscular man from the blood race suggested. He was still afraid of the heavenly human tribe's authority, and wanted a solution that would not offend them. Ha ha! At this moment, the young man from the heavenly human tribe laughed wildly as if he had encountered something funny. After a while, he stopped and said coldly, Let me tell you. I do have a lot of bow of the ship with me. However, I won't take it out for a trade. What can you do? The young man from the heavenly human tribe looked at everyone, full of arrogance and confidence. He didn't believe that these people would dare to attack them. Among the top 10 races, except for the quasi-immortal race, the other races were indeed high and mighty in the primitive universe. They looked down on countless races and were the pinnacle races of the universe. But in front of the celestial race, they were nothing more than dogs. These people dared to attack them? He didn't believe it. Unfortunately, he was disappointed this time. Lords of the heavenly human tribe, we only ask for a position at the head of the ship. If that's not possible, then we can only offend you. Excuse me. Many voices were heard. The figures of the elites of the various races flashed, and they surrounded the dozen heavenly humans. Audacious! You dare? You're rebelling. Do you want to be exterminated? The heavenly human youth roared. Why wouldn't I dare? As long as we kill all of you, who will know that we did it? Also, this trip to the Taishang Immortal City is a fair competition. Everything depends on strength. I don't believe that the Heavenly Palace will annihilate the clans because of this. If they annihilate the clans, who will help you deal with the rebels and the demons? Lu Ming shouted, stabilizing the morale of the army. As expected, the eyes of the elites of the various races became more determined. You're courting death! The heavenly human youth was enraged, and he let out a hysterical roar. He really did not expect that these despicable people in his eyes would actually dare to attack them. However, although he was furious, his face was solemn. He wasn't the only one. The other heavenly humans were the same. There were many elites present, and they outnumbered them. Once they attacked, they weren't confident that they could escape. They might be trapped here and be annihilated. What should they do? Should they really submit to these ants? They couldn't accept it. They couldn't accept it. At this moment, a burly heavenly human youth came to the side of the youth and whispered a few words in his ear. The heavenly human youth's eyes were filled with unwillingness. His expression kept changing. After a while, he gritted his teeth and made a decision. All right, I agree. I'll use the position at the head of the ship to trade with you. However, the two of them aren't qualified. The heavenly human youth pointed at Lu Ming and Yi Ling. The murderous intent in his eyes was extremely intense. He was trying to divide Lu Ming and Yi Ling. They could already tell that Lu Ming and Yi Ling were the masterminds this time. They wanted to divide the various races and deal with Lu Ming and Yi Ling. Don't fall into their trap. If we don't kill them, they'll definitely come after us. Only by killing them can we solve the problem once and for all, Lu Ming shouted. You have to think carefully. If you really attack, can you keep all of us here? If even one of us escapes, do you know the consequences? As long as you trade with us now and leave on your own, I can say that I won't pursue the matter, the heavenly human youth said. He hated Lu Ming and Yi Ling to the core. He would rather not pursue the matter and make Lu Ming and Yi Ling pay a heavy price. As soon as he said that, the eyes of the various races flickered and they wanted to retreat. How do you want to trade for the head of the ship? Someone asked. Clearly, they had already retreated. After all, the the heavenly human tribe had accumulated too much power, and they were still filled with fear. They would definitely not attack if they could. Now, as long as they paid a price, they could get the head of the ship and enter the core area. Why would they attack? Lu Ming and Yi Ling looked at each other and saw the helplessness in each other's eyes. Clearly, the various races had already retreated. It was useless for them to say anything more, and they could only play by ear. As you said before, the head of the ship can be exchanged for a pill furnace with a diameter of 3 meters or 1 million desolation pills, the heavenly human youth said and waved his hand. A part of the head of the ship appeared in his hand. Many people's eyes lit up. We're willing to exchange a pill furnace with a diameter of 3 meters for the head of the ship. The demon race prodigy was the first to speak. He took out a pill furnace with a diameter of 3 meters and pushed it toward the heavenly human youth. There was a hint of reluctance in the heavenly human youth's eyes. In the end, he gritted his teeth and threw the head of the ship to the demon race prodigy. Both parties completed the trade. Let's go! After completing the trade, the demon race people did not stay and left one after another. I'll trade too. Me too. Following that, the people of the other races took out pill furnaces with a diameter of 3 meters and traded with the heavenly human youth. Soon, all the races obtained the head of the ship and left. Only Lu Ming and Yi Ling were left on the mountain peak. There were more than 10 heavenly human cultivators. Chapter 43-31. The young man of the heavenly human tribe looked at Lu Ming and Yi Ling. His eyes were glittering. Those two lowly insects had dared to trick them. Their plan had failed and they had lost the position of the boat. Damn it, they deserved to die. Lowly bastards, let's see how you're going to die this time, shouted the young man of the heavenly human tribe coldly. He stepped forward, releasing a powerful chi. 6th Great Supreme God Layer. The young man of the heavenly human tribe was releasing a powerful chi. He was going to attack and kill Lu Ming and Yi Ling. Apparently, he was very confident. Even though Yi Ling also had the strength of the 6th Great Supreme God Layer, he was still confident. He was a top genius of the heavenly human tribe. Not many people in the heavenly human tribe were stronger than him. The other members of the heavenly human tribe were obviously very confident in this young man. They surrounded Lu Ming and Yi Ling, looking as though they were preventing them from escaping. I will cripple you first. You won't be able to live, and you won't be able to die. The young man from the heavenly human tribe let out a ferocious roar. He pointed his fingers continuously and a few streams of finger force broke through the air, shooting toward Lu Ming and Yi Ling's joints. He didn't want to kill Lu Ming and Yi Ling immediately. That wasn't enough. He wanted to do it step by step. He wanted to cripple them first, and then torture them slowly. He wanted to show them the dignity of the heavenly human tribe. The dignity of the heavenly human tribe was inviolable. A few strands of finger force flew out, emitting a terrifying whistling sound. Their speed was extremely shocking. Clang! Yi Ling's body emitted a sword sound. He wanted to attack. Let me do it this time, said Lu Ming. He had just broken through and his fighting strength had increased. He wanted to test his own strength. As soon as Lu Ming said that, Yi Ling's chi quickly disappeared. Boom! Lu Ming took a step forward and the air shook. At the same time, he flicked his finger and a few spear lights flew towards the young man's finger energies. You're just a cultivator of the 5th Great Supreme God Layer. You're overestimating yourself. The heavenly human youth sneered, revealing a look of disdain. In the next moment, the finger force and the spear light collided with each other, emitting a few faint sounds of collision. Then, the finger force of the heavenly human race young man dissipated, while Lu Ming's spear light continued to fly towards the heavenly human race young man. How could this be? The young man from the heavenly human tribe was shocked. This scene was completely out of his expectations. He originally thought that he could easily defeat Lu Ming's attack, and then cripple Lu Ming's joints, making Lu Ming limp on the ground like a dead dog. Who would have thought that he would be the one to be defeated? At this moment, it was already too late for him to dodge. At the critical moment, He could only lay down several layers of defense in front of him, hoping to block Lu Ming's attack. Bam, bam, bam! Several spear lights struck the heavenly human youth. His body shook violently and he retreated rapidly. Several bloody holes appeared on his body. They were pierced by the spear lights. In the end, he still couldn't completely defend against Lu Ming's attack. Damn it, you deserve to die! The young man from the heavenly human tribe was furious. He roared crazily with a ferocious look in his eyes. You talk too much nonsense. Use all your strength. This little bit of strength is too weak. Lu Ming stepped forward. His body was shrouded in dazzling light, and a terrifying aura was constantly erupting from his body. To be honest, the young man from the heavenly human tribe was very powerful. From the previous exchange of blows, Lu Ming judged that the young man had at least a 6-star combat strength. Moreover, the young man obviously didn't use his full strength. If he did, his combat strength would definitely be more than 6 stars. Heaven's punishment power, kill! The young man from the heavenly human tribe roared. In a rage, he finally unleashed all his strength and used the heaven's punishment power. After using the heaven's punishment power, the young man's combat strength erupted to the peak. 8 star! Lu Ming narrowed his eyes slightly. The young man from the heavenly human tribe was definitely a top monster in the heavenly human tribe. His combat strength had reached 8 stars. 8-star combat strength was absolutely terrifying. Moreover, the young man's cultivation was 1 level higher than Lu Ming's. In total, there was an 11-star gap between them. Unfortunately, Lu Ming's combat strength was at the peak of 12-star. Swoosh! The white lightning formed by the heaven's punishment power was like a long snake. It slashed toward Lu Ming with terrifying power. Lu Ming also pushed his combat strength to the peak. Other than not using the heaven-breaking style, everything else was at the peak. Lu Ming turned into a dazzling ray of light and rushed toward the young man from the heavenly human tribe. He continuously punched with both of his fists. Boom! 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 Violent collisions erupted. The two of them continuously exchanged more than 10 blows. In the end, Lu Ming forcefully broke through the heaven's punishment power. The terrifying fist force crushed toward the young man from the heavenly human tribe. The young man from the heavenly human tribe was violently shaken. He retreated like a cannonball. His face was pale and there was blood at the corner of his mouth. When Lu Ming activated his 11-star combat strength, his combat strength was about the same as the young man from the heavenly human tribe. However, during this period of time, Lu Ming had transformed many ordinary secret techniques into secret technique runes and merged them with his cells. His combat strength had increased a little. Therefore, even if he didn't use the heaven-breaking style, he was still stronger than the young man from the heavenly human tribe. His combat strength. How can he be so strong? The other members of the heavenly human tribe gasped. Their eyes were filled with astonishment. They were a little confused. Was this person one of the top few geniuses on the universe genius list? But the top few geniuses on the universe genius list should have a cultivation level higher than the 5th Emperor Supreme God layer. Besides, they all knew that it couldn't be this person. Die! Lu Ming didn't care about what those people thought. He continued to attack the young man from the heavenly human tribe. How dare you! Shouted a strong man from the heavenly human tribe. He took a step forward and condensed a battle sword. He slashed it toward Lu Ming. Sword, she whistled, emitting a violent pressure. Lu Ming's hair stood on end. He sensed a terrifying danger. Without hesitation, Lu Ming performed the sky-breaking movement. Boom! Their attacks collided. Lu Ming retreated quickly, but the strong man from the heavenly human tribe also retreated. He retreated even further than Lu Ming. 7th Emperor Supreme God layer! Lu Ming's gaze was grave. The strong man from the heavenly human tribe had the cultivation level of the 7th Emperor Supreme God layer, and he had the battle strength of 6 stars. His combat strength was almost the same as Lu Ming's. Let's attack together and kill them both! Shouted the young man from the heavenly human tribe. He finally reacted. He hadn't expected Lu Ming's combat strength to be so strong. He was astonished. He had thought that he could easily kill Lu Ming. He hadn't expected Lu Ming's combat strength to be so terrifying. The strong man of the 7th Emperor's Supreme God Layer couldn't do anything to Lu Ming. It was terrifying. Die! Die! All the other members of the angel tribe attacked. All of them unleashed a terrifying aura. All kinds of attacks bombarded Lu Ming. How strong! There are a few of them who have the strength of the 7th Emperor's Supreme God Layer. Lu Ming was surprised. He didn't want to fight back. Instead, he used a movement technique and retreated. Where are you going? Die! Shouted the heavenly human tribe. They chased after Lu Ming. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.